One of the questions that students of yoga often have is, what is this interplay between the brain, this physical signal-emitting thing, and the mind? How do we control one or the other? Can we control one or the other? And what is the interplay between the two? I'd love to hear from Sadhvi first on this. It's just a small topic, Sadhvi.
It's a great topic, though, and there's so many ways in to the topic. Because ultimately, the question that you've asked is, how do I create my life? I mean, Bruce is talking about creating our life. So much of that which we hear, whether from spiritual leaders or motivational speakers or yoga teachers and everyone in between, speaks about creating our life, creating our reality. And yet, what are the tools we have to create? I mean, if I'm going to build a physical structure, we have bricks, we have cement, we have wood, we have whatever we need. Well, if I'm going to build joy, peace, love, what are the building blocks? Now, of course, the first piece of it is that's the truth of who we are. So the good news is you don't actually have to build from the ground up. We just have to remove that which is blocking us from living as that. But again, what are the tools for that? It's easy to say, we can speak about it, but what are the tools? And really the tools are our mind, our thoughts. Whether we're doing yoga postures, whether we're doing meditation, whether we're chanting affirmations or mantras, whatever we're doing, it's the mind that's telling us to do it. The mind is the one that says, go to yoga class instead of go to the bar. The mind is the one that as we're doing the yoga postures either keeps us focused there or says, oh my God, this is so stupid, I could be eating pizza and watching a movie right now, or anything in between. It's the mind that chants the mantras. It's the mind that notices when my mind is no longer chanting my mantras and, as Pujya Swamiji says, has gone to Paris without a ticket or a visa. It's my mind that brings it back. So the mind is actually our greatest tool. It's almost our only tool in this. But the brain is really what we have tangibly. I mean, working with the mind is very abstract. And I come from a background not just in academia, but in psychology. And it's very abstract. The brain, and this for me is what I love about it, is the brain, I think, is the medium through which we experience consciousness and the mind. So the brain is not the mind. We know, for example, as Bruce spoke so beautifully, one TV set is broken, we get a new TV set. So life after life, when we reincarnate, along with the soul, something called the subtle body travels. I won't go into too much of that here, but an aspect of the subtle body is mind. So the brain is finished. Those neurons are no longer sending electrical signals down the axon. Brain is dead, literally. It's buried, it's cremated, whatever your tradition may be. So the brain is not the mind, and yet, for all practical purposes, in our practice, in our yoga, in our sadhana, in our intentions, the brain is the vehicle through which, the medium through which we experience the mind. So for example, Bruce exists. We know Bruce exists. But how do I know Bruce exists? Well, I have 5 ways of knowing he exists. I have my eyes, I have my ears, I have my touch, I have my smell, I have my taste. If I close my eyes and Bruce is not speaking, and presumably he doesn't have on any strong cologne or something that my sense of smell picks up, and I'm not touching him at this moment, or licking him at this moment to taste him, right? So I'm not able to use any of my senses. For me, Bruce might as well not exist. There is no interaction between Bruce's existence and my experience if I'm not able to experience him through my 5 senses. Now, of course, that doesn't change Bruce's existence. He's still here. You could all see him. Your eyes are open. But for my life, if I'm going to be impacted by, taught by Bruce, whether by the words he speaks, by the presence of his being, by his love, by his energy, well, I have to have some way of interacting with it. And our physical brain is our way, I believe, of interacting with consciousness. It is our way of interacting with the mind. Now, what we know, and this is the stuff I really love about neurology, is that you can actually go into the brain because it doesn't have any pain sensors. And so if for some reason someone has to have a brain operation for some other reason, so the scalp is open, they actually can go in with metal probes and they can stimulate different areas of the brain, and they can make you very happy. They can make you giggly, they can make you very sad, they can make you angry, they can make you sexually aroused. They can pretty much create all of that which we usually term emotion, feelings. And the reason that for me this is so deep is most of us identify as those so deeply. I am my anger. I am angry. Yes, I would be able to live a spiritual life, except I am angry. The thing blocking me from spirituality is my pain, is my memories, is my emotions. Well, the truth is, those exist in very physical, tangible, electrical, chemical reactions in the brain that can be either stimulated or numbed. Anybody who's ever taken chemical assistance, anything ranging from drugs or alcohol to any kind of pharmaceuticals that change your brain chemistry, knows it impacts what we think. It impacts how we interact with the world. Well, it's not impacting our etheric spirit mind, as Bruce spoke about out here. It's playing on the electrical chemical patterns in my tangible brain. And this is where that which we do for our brain, whether it's nutrition, whether it's yoga, whether it's 100 other things we may do, deep breathing, bringing oxygen. I mean, forget the spiritual benefits of it. That which we do for our brain changes our mind. It changes our experience of our consciousness. And that's very exciting. The other last piece for me that's exciting is because we know it can be stimulated, it loses a little bit of its power over us. If you know that someone can stick a metal probe in your brain and make you angry, it's hard to really identify as that anger. If you know that a pill or a liquid changes that anger for you, well, it's hard to identify as I am that anger. Now, obviously, the goal is to work with it non-chemically. But if you've ever used the chemicals and had that experience, you at least know it's not me. Because look, there I was, but I thought differently. I felt differently. And what it reminds us is I'm not my emotions. I'm not my thoughts. They're taking place due to patterns, due to what I eat, the food I eat, the air I breathe, the chemicals I'm ingesting, purposely or not purposely, due to the energy I'm picking up in the world around us. And so that gives us a lot of freedom. And the freedom there is our thoughts are tickets. They are not who you are. I like to think of them as tickets. If you walked into an airport or a train station or a bus station and you said, I'd like a ticket, the first thing they would say to you is, where to, ma'am? Where to, sir? Or if you said, just give me a first-class ticket, best ticket you've got, fastest vehicle, give it to me now. As much as they tried to help you, again, they would have to say, where to? Every thought we have takes us to a destination. Some of them take us to a destination of peace, of joy, of gratitude, of meaning, of fulfillment. Some of them take us to destinations of misery, of hopelessness, of worthlessness. But we jump on them because they're the train that's passing by without ever wondering where they're going. I mean, if I said to Bruce, guess what? I've got you booked on this wonderful bus this afternoon. Come, come, come. Well, hopefully he would say to me, and where are we going? Bus sounds great, train sounds great, and where are you taking me? And unless I could tell him that I was taking him someplace he wanted to go, no matter how comfortable or great or decorated or fancy the compartment might be, he wouldn't jump on. And so when we have thoughts, when you have stuff of the mind, fluctuations of the mind, before we jump on them, when we recognize this is just a chemical and electrical pattern, before you jump on it, ask yourself, is this the destination I want to go? And if not, get yourself a different ticket. Because that's the power we have to create that world.
And I want to say that everything that Sadhviji said, I don't want to repeat it because I would say exactly the same thing she said. So I'm going to just make an addition to the thinking part. Mind, brain, body. Before I even go to that level, let me just tell you, because I work with cells my whole life. The most primitive organism on the planet are bacteria and cells like amoeba. Everyone knows amoeba. I go, an amoeba has all of the functions that you have. An amoeba has a respiration, digestion, nervous system, reproduction system. An amoeba even has an immune system. So single cells are like miniature people. And in the world of an amoeba, the amoeba has to live in the world. It has to read what's going on. Is this a good place to go? Is there food here? Or is there something scary? So the amoeba doesn't bounce. It moves in the direction to give life. So it has to read the environment and adjust the biology. Now, everyone thinks, well, cells, how can a cell be so smart? You know, they're so small. Everything less than human is less smart. And I go, stop. Cells created us. We were made by the intelligence of cells. And so when you look at your body and you say, oh, I am Bruce one thing, and I go, that is an illusion. Every one of us is made out of about 50 trillion cells. A human body is a community of cells. And I said, well, when they live in a community, where should the community go? Well, here's the issue. Let's talk about a liver cell in your body right now. If the cells are going to adjust to the environment, what environment does your liver cell see? Does it see where we're sitting right here? No, it's inside. How does it know what's going on? The community of cells create the nervous system. The nervous system is to read the big environment and then send the signals to the cells to tell them what to do. So the reality is your cells do not see the real environment we're living in. They see your interpretation, your thought about that environment. Is this a safe environment? Then 50 trillion cells say, good, I'm very happy, I'm in a very safe environment. But if you have a picture of fear, then you're sending a signal to the cells to get ready for protection and get ready for fight or flight. So the function of the mind, brain, body in the other level than what Sadhviji has just said is, how do I coordinate the community of my cells? Should my cells be healthy? Should they be afraid? Should they be in love? Why? Because their expression is our expression. So if I send them messages of fear and concern, then they are like inside getting very nervous about what to do. And fear and love are the opposite behaviors in a cell. Love, open, take in the love and bring it in and grow. Love is a nutrient. Fear, shut down, close off, get in protection. And I say, well, you can't be in love and in fear at the same time, because love is open and fear is closed. So our mind, brain, body relationship, in addition to all the wonderful spiritual aspects that Sadhviji is talking about, has a mechanical role. What should my cells be doing? They cannot see what's going on, but they're going to have to move the community from here to there, and so they need to organize their behavior to make my behavior. So all of a sudden, your thoughts are not just contained in your head. Your thoughts are changed by the brain into information that then goes to 50 trillion cells and tells them what's going on. And the problem in our world today is fear. Will I have enough? Will I have food? Will I have health care? Am I safe in my world? And I say, this closes the cells down, because fear means protect yourself. But you cannot live in a closed world. You have to take in nutrients. You have to take in love. You have to take in these things. And so the biggest problem on the planet today, 90% of health issues are not because there's anything physically wrong. It's because the signals that we are sending to the cells are not supporting growth, happiness, and health. And all of a sudden it says, oh my goodness, then the mind and the brain are profoundly important, because they determine everything below your head, what's going to happen. And when you live in the world of watching the news, being on the internet, reading a paper, and everyone wants to tell you, be afraid, be afraid, be afraid, that is what has caused the healthcare crisis on this planet. And when you can let go of those messages, then you can send messages of love, health, and harmony. And I know this in my own life, because as I said, once I started to recognize, why should I be afraid? I'm creating. If I'm going to create, then why would I create their story? I want to create my story. And that means we have to have control over the mind. Control over the mind? Here you are. Yoga is control over your mind. Don't let your mind run away with other people's stories. You have to create your own. We have to let go of the belief that other people tell us this is a scary world, a threatening world. It is only scary when we believe it is scary. You change your belief, you change your life. And when you're here, How do I change my belief? The first thing is control the mind, because the mind is sending the signals to the body, and that controls our genes. So there is no cancer gene. There is absolutely not one gene that causes cancer. Cancer is an expression of anger and fear. If you lose the anger and you lose the fear, you are free to be healthy. And if you haven't heard or read the book by my dear friend, our dear friend, Anita Moorjani, her book is called Dying to Be Me. She had 4 years of cancer. In her last week, her body let go of the control. They put her on machines to breathe and to circulate her blood, and she was on a machine. And on the end of that week, she was so thin, the cancer lumps were sticking out of her body. And she went into a coma, unconscious. And the doctor called the family and said, the oncologist said, this is the last stage. She's about to die, so come to the hospital. In that coma, Anita had an out-of-body experience. She left the body. She took her consciousness back to the source. And she resolved the anger and the fear that she had because of her family issues. Her father, she thought she had lost the love of her father. And when she saw her father in that realm, that spiritual realm, he said, no, you're always my love, and all that. And then there was an interesting moment, as people have out of body. She was given a choice. Do you want to stay here, or do you want to go back to your body? Well, where she was beautiful and heavenly and peaceful, and it's the most wonderful experience she had after 4 years of cancer. It was like, but she saw her husband, Danny. She saw her crumpled up body, and that he was holding her hand. And she said, if I don't go back, Danny will get sick. And she said, I will go back into that body. But you know what the most exciting thing was? The issues that caused the cancer were spiritual conscious issues. And when she resolved that, and she came back in the body and woke up, she came back to full life. The machines were no longer necessary. She was living on her own. And within a few days, the lumps of cancer disappeared. Within 3 weeks, the doctors were saying, where's the cancer? And they were kept looking in her body to find the cancer. And Anita says, I do not have cancer anymore. And all of a sudden, at some point, they realized there was no cancer in her body. Why I bring her up? She's what I call the poster child of biology of belief. Here's a person on her last day of life changed her mind. And the moment she changed her mind, her biology, her health came right back to full health. There was no cancer left in her body. The doctors were like, there's got to be cancer. And she said, there is no cancer in my body anymore. And to me, please understand, I don't care how sick you are. If you can go to the last day and be on a machine and have no life left in you and then change your mind, you can come back in full health in that one experience. So your mind is controlling this biology. And when you take back your mind, your love, let go of the fear, you are the master of this wonderful machine, the human body. Understanding the machine, understanding. Again, I leave to the same conclusion. Understanding the machine and understanding how to control the machine, one word, yoga.